for an evening filled with paranormal, special guests, interviews, haunting stories, creatures of the unknown, and tales that will chill you to the bone. Brought to you by the UPRN Network and Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. Take a walk into the night with Shawn Kelly.
Good evening, everybody. This is Shawn Kelly, into his show, Into the Night. So how was everybody's week tonight? Mine was great, you know. They upped my dose on my medication, so it's working a lot better. But like I said at the beginning of the show, I just want everybody out there who is dealing with mental illness. I care for you. And I do pray for you, and just keep doing what you're doing, and everything will be okay. Just gotta have faith. So tonight, I'm gonna get right to it. Oh, I'm on UPRN Radio 105.3 New Orleans, and tonight's guest, God bless him because he was kindly enough to come on tonight on a short notice, but. My guest tonight is Del Lessie, and last week I had his partner, Lori Lee, on, and welcome, Del. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your show.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on. No problem there. As long as I got time or whatever, stuff like that, I'm always happy to jump on any show there that's going on. So, yeah, my show airs on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's called Delicious Recipe, where we just take a variety of topics each week or whatever, and we just like it is like almost like a cooking show. We throw a lot of ingredients, a lot of stuff into the pot, and we just see how it comes out at the end and what it tastes like. And you take from what it is there. It's the whole thing about asking questions about everything, and that's a big thing there that a lot of people don't do anymore is question the narrative anymore.
Ah, that's cool. Hey, Brian, how are you, buddy? Good to have you on the show. Listen, so our last show, Chasing Prophecy, you know, I don't know if you saw the video yet, but did you see the video with the UFO coming out of the door thing with the doorbell?
No, I haven't checked that out there.
Yeah, it was from the United Kingdom, and if you get a chance, Google it when you get off the show. I don't know how to put video on, but this guy over in the United Kingdom had one of them door videos, you know.
One of those ring videos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's claiming that they picked up a UFO coming up from the trees. And what do you think of stuff like that? Now, when I do, me and my brother did a little research on it, on those ring things, and a camera only goes like 50 feet, 50 yards, whatever it is. So how in the hell can it pick something up in the sky? Do you know what I mean? Can you explain somehow where people are coming up with these ridiculous videos?
Yeah, okay. I'm just checking it out right now. It's like a 9-second clip, eh? Yeah, I guess that's a static camera. It looks like, and something that went through the sky. Oh.
Yeah.
You know what? A lot of things there's that. This is, I guess, a part to think about is that around our Earth, there's probably over like 60,000 pieces of space debris that the U.S., the Chinese and Elon Musk and the Russians have thrown up there when they've thrown up satellites and stuff like that. There's a lot of debris that's around there. It's almost like a minefield. So you got to expect that sometimes there could be some of this stuff returning to Earth that would be some sort of like look like a comet or some sort of weird object, whatever, coming down. And just looking at this video here that's playing, like if I play it again for myself here, it just looks like a straight coming down object there. So who knows? It could be one of many things. I don't know. There's been since this whole talk of disclosure that's been popping up over the last couple of years and stuff like that. And everybody having cameras on their phones and everybody having phones, I think a lot more people are picking up stuff and maybe misinterpreting what they're seeing.
Right. They just want that like 15 minutes of fame as they claim it is, you know. Well, I was looking at that video earlier, and if I'm not mistaken, there is a Air Force base over in the United Kingdom, and it looked like one of our fighter jets. Um, and that brings me up to the next question. Why do you think the government is posting all this UFO stuff? Now, I heard it from everybody else, but um, I have listened to you talk, and I learn a lot from you. So I want to get your point on why do you think the government is just playing all this UFO stuff?
I don't know if it's a part of a thing there that they can't hide the truth anymore. That there's that they have secret programs going on. I don't know. Like even with the talks that I've heard with I guess the military personnel and stuff like that, where they go, we don't know what it is, but we don't think it's extraterrestrial or extra dimensional. So I think they sort of do know what it is if it's uh, other countries testing equipment, but they don't want to say that other countries have technology that they're not aware of. I don't know. It's sort of a weird sort of thing. Like if you look at throughout history and back hundreds and hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, there's always been talk about something coming down from the sky and interacting with human beings.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You think it comes from the moon, Mars? What do you think?
Uh, I don't know. The moon's a weird one. There's a lot of theories on the moon that could be actually a space station, some sort of
Hmm.
orbiting thing there. Who knows? There's been talk that there's already colonization has already happened on the moon and on Mars and on the far side. I don't know. That's a lot of stuff. I guess that's above my pay grade, but I'm sort of going thinking more of the part that uh, I think there's something going on with sort of interdimensional.
Okay.
That that's where I was sort of seeing how things just sort of just blip in and blip out. And I
Hmm.
guess that even goes into the part of paranormal too, as well, that
Right.
you guys deal with, is that stuff is moving in and out of sync with our 3D or our known viewing of our own reality.
Right.
Something a little bit more advanced than we are.
Way, way too advanced. Now I know up where you're. I know you're in Canada right now, and probably surrounded with a lot of trees. But have you seen UFO sightings and Bigfoot at the same time? Not you personally, but have you heard of people that have seen Bigfoot and UFOs at the same time? Because I really do believe they're related. And what
Hmm.
would your theory be on that?
Uh, I've talked to quite a few people because that's one of the parts that I've been sort of delving into the past sort of 2 years about weird phenomena in the bush. Because like where I am, Thunder Bay, which is on the northwest shore of Lake Superior up in northern Ontario, and always there seems to be some sort of atmospheric or some sort of anomaly or some sort of weird occurrence that goes out there, whether it's with wind or with just the change in the feel of the bush, and then some sort of sighting of something that where you're sort of you become hyper aware that something else is out there.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't come across too many people saying that they saw a UFO and then saw a little person or a Bigfoot
Right.
like right connected right away. But I've heard stories and I've heard talk to people there that they've felt a change in the surroundings that was different from where they had just had been.
Okay. So, so what, from what I understand and what you're saying is that there are a lot of times where we'll just say scenario, I'm in Thunder Bay and I'm happy, but in the next moment I'm sad. Similar to that, kind of.
That could yeah, yeah, that's a part there. Like if you reading a lot of these stories about people that have had contacts, whether it's been with some anomaly that they've seen in the bush that they can't understand what it is, And then this comes into a big part there when even looking about Bigfoot and little people and stuff like that. That sort of a common story that around the native people up around in Canada is there's always some sort of change, and there's like I say, and we have these things that we know the Earth is very magnetic. There's
Hmm.
you got a lot of frequency going around there, and we know that frequency can affect mood,
Right.
and that's a big thing. There's a lot of really weird anomalies that I guess in a part there is that it's been more or less independent researchers going out and doing that, because I don't think the part of the government's never going to tell you what they're doing, what or private industry or private companies or whatever. They're never going to tell you what exactly they're doing. Like you think about HARP, right? That's
Right.
putting a lot of energy into the atmosphere and not knowing where that's going to react somewhere else, right?
Oh, like I just read something where was it China or Russia? They let off some like missiles in space, and it was affecting. It could affect or actually kill the people on the International Space Station. Did you read
Hmm.
that?
Yeah,
That's
I've
ridiculous.
things,
That is
heard
like
things about
totally
that.
ridiculous. Oh,
I,
but
I know that I know that there was I was reading about this, and you can actually sort of see it on some of the internet sites there. There's a place up in northern China where they have a similar thing to HARP as well, where they're
hmm
throwing a lot of energy up into the atmosphere, which affects the polar winds, where they can push atmospheric trade winds up there to push storms and that over across into North America and that. And there's been talk like at Dubai. I did a talk about this. Is Dubai has their own setup a weather system that's there where they can make it rain once a week, right, to keep
hmm
everything fertile, right? So they're uh, playing with weather is never that's been a thing that's been around for a long time. People never really thought about it, but playing around with the earth that these government agencies or subcontractors that the government pay out of black money or black ops money, black budget money.
hmm
There's a lot of things that are going on. Governments and private industry never tell you. Like this has been an ongoing thing for hundreds of years.
Right. So what's
Yeah.
the main one going on right now besides the weather with the government?
Oh, geez. Well, if you want to go into that scary topic of pandemic stuff, there you gotta.
Yeah, please do talk about it.
Yeah. See, that's I don't know that's this has been sort of an only time that something like this has happened in our time where government and politics and disease has sort of all merged into one and has sort of basically taken away the rights of the human human beings in a free society to make their own choice. Your choice basically has been taken away from you,
Hmm.
and the propaganda that goes on through news medias that are paid by corporations that are running stuff, banks and everything like that. It is sort of a really weird time. Like if you think about it back before, and I've heard this talked about many times, where they said "my body, my choice." They did this whole thing with the abortion issue with women in the U.S. and even here in Canada as well, and that was a big thing. But now, when it
Hmm.
came to this with this pandemic, your choice has been taken away. And
Right.
they said at the beginning says, well, you have a choice. You can either take it or you don't, and you're going to be limited from what you can do. Now they're almost forcing it now that it's either take it or lose your job.
Ain't that ridiculous? And I know, I read about that where people refuse. And in fact, we had a guest on a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was like a policeman out in California, and he got his shots right, but they wanted him mandated, for the booster, I guess what it is, and he retired and he's moving to Florida. And I mean, to me, it's like it's a bunch of bullshit, and it really. I never thought and I'm 59 years old, and I never thought in a million years that the government would do such a thing. And it's just, I see what they're doing right now, and I'm thinking, my God, did they do that back in the 60s? Did they do that back in the 50s? I mean, And what's it all about? Power, control,
Yep. That
and
that's the big thing. Yeah.
it's like, gee, I think that there are that there are like aliens that are in our government. I listened to Joe a couple times, and he talks about the eyes. You know what I mean? And there was this movie. I forget what the name of the movie. Maybe you can help me out. Where the guy Rodney Piper was in it, and he
Oh
had
yeah.
glasses on.
They live.
Yeah, they live.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for them to come out with glasses like that so we can actually see who's around us. And I believe there are aliens out there that clone themselves as humans. And maybe that sounds crazy. And I know a lot of people, and a lot of people respect what I believe in. But as I've been doing this radio show for a long, long time, for a year and a half almost, it's like it just really, really opened my mind, and um, it was like really insane. But I
Yeah.
don't really want to spend too much on this. And to be honest with you, I really wasn't prepared for tonight, so we're going to go around the table, whatever pops into my mind.
Yeah.
Um, what's your feeling on cryptids?
Yeah. That's an interesting one there too. That those stories have been going on through history as well. I've actually had a one guest on here, Barla Ventura, that did talked about fairies, elves, goblins, and different things like this, and the folklore of this, uh, of these creatures that seem to be passed on through every single, uh, uh, I guess, what do you say, country throughout the world. Like through China, they have talk about dragons, different types of pig beasts, different stuff like that. Down in
Mhm.
Australia, like even with Bigfoot, there's about 20 different names of it all across the board. Um, I don't know. Like I think there's we haven't explored this Earth enough, anyways, to be precisely 100% sure that there isn't something else out there. And even with our oceans, like they say that we've explored quite a bit, but I think the part there now is that we've only explored about 15 to 20%. There's still so much more that we haven't seen or know what's out there. And I think they're
Right.
still finding things, new species of plants, animals, and bugs and stuff like that every day.
And see, I'm glad you said that because with all the crap that's happening on Earth, with all the volcanoes and with all the hurricanes and stuff like that, things are just like being swept in, and it's mind-boggling. I have no problem. I believe in gnomes. I believe in fairies. You know what I mean? I want to share a story. When I got a divorce and I moved into an apartment, my son was about 8 years old, and so what happened was like not late at night, but just about dusk, and they build gardens, big gardens, and just to make it look pretty, I guess, whatever. And me and my son are sitting on the bench, and all of a sudden we see all these little lights going all the way around, just like moving all around. And it was like too early for lightning bugs, you know what I mean? And my son said, "Oh, look at lightning bug, look at lightning bug." And that had nothing of it. We went back in. So the next morning we woke up and went out to that garden. And dude, I'm telling you what, there was a perfect circular mushroom ring. And then I was like, they live, you know what I mean? So from that time, that's when it really opened my eyes up to gnomes and fairies and leprechauns and stuff like that. When I go gold prospecting down in North Carolina or out here in Pennsylvania or Virginia, I'm like, I'm out there by myself, but they're like in the middle of the woods. You know what I mean? And it's like, holy crap, what did I just see? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were up in Gettysburg, and there's a bridge up there. It's called the Suicide Bridge. It's actually it's called the Eisenhower Bridge, named after his son. I forget which son it was. And that, my friend, was like really, really, really creepy. You know what I mean? Now, I mean, I've been to some really creepy places, but this was just a path, maybe a quarter mile, right? You cross the bridge. But I mean, I got the chills walking up and down through there. And, and I heard some strange noises, but it was pretty active. So the more I dwell into the paranormal, the more I have become aware with my senses of what's happening. And I really, I don't like it because it's getting really bad. And I believe with all the anger and all the negativity that's going on in in the world, look at all the anger. Take the world, take all your countries, and all the crap that's happening. Okay, and everybody is angry, fear, anxiety, you name it, and it's pushing all that energy out there in the universe, right? And what do spirits do? They or any other entities, they feed off of that energy. You know what I mean? And that's why I believe that there's a lot of people that are messed up because of that situation. You know,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, there's actually a theory about that, or about the archons, they would call them, or whatever, that is one of the alien races that are above there, and they feed off of this negativity. They call it, I think they call it loosh or something like that,
Hmm.
and they help create these situations of people in fear and anxiety, this negative emotions, and they use this like a battery to feed themselves, and this is just one of the theories that I had heard a long time ago. Whether you believe it or not, like I don't know. There's a lot of these people in these paranormal and UFO groups that are coming from ex-military and ex-government and stuff like that are mentioning that there's multiple races of aliens that are coming either through the air or through dimension that are here, or whatever, that have been visiting here for a long time.
Hmm.
I just want to go in the one part there. It says prospecting there. I used to have my prospector's license. I used to go and stake mining claims all through northern Ontario, up in northern Manitoba and northern Saskatchewan. So I spent a lot of time in the bush staking claims, and I had seen a lot of interesting things out there and feeling a lot of different things out there
Hmm.
in the bush. I can even remember one time I was north of Thunder Bay, up by Geraldton, and there was a lot of magnetite that was in the ground, and it was causing our compasses to go almost in a circle, so you'd never do in a straight line,
Oh
and
wow.
see how you could get sort of lost in the bush if you weren't aware of what was going on. But another part there too is that there's all this energy, natural energy coming from the ground that makes things feel weird, eh? And I've noticed a lot of weird weather phenomenon that's happened in the bush too, as well, where we had like downdrafts, or just where the air has gone totally still, where it was just windy and just all of a sudden stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one time I remember this as clear as a day, because this was one of the most amazing things I ever experienced. There was about four or five of us. There was like the boss, our boss that was there, which is basically my brother's friend's dad. That's how I got into doing prospecting mining claims. And we would come out of this cedar swamp area, and we come up to this hill around lunchtime. This is in the middle of summertime, and it was hot, sticky, humid, and there wasn't really too much of a breeze going on. And we had stopped up on this sort of this knoll or rocky area that looked off into the valley in this little lake that was down there. And the black flies were just miserable. They were just pinging off our faces, everything. And we'd stop for lunch. And I remember I was eating my sandwich inside my shirt, so I
Hmm.
wasn't chewing on black flies as I was trying to eat something. And it was just amazing. I just sitting there with like my shirt up like this, eating my sandwich inside, and just all this pinging of black flies. All of a sudden, the wind changed just a touch, little bit, and it just went. It was just a weird phenomenon. And my boss there had taken pictures of it because he always carried a camera with him. And all
Hmm.
of a sudden, this almost like this wave of dragonflies came, and I was covered in dragonflies. They were picking all the black flies off or everything, and then a wind came up and they all left, and we had no more black flies for the rest of the day.
Oh
And that was
wow.
just a weird phenomenon that just sort of happened. I never would have believed that it would have happened until I seen the pictures of all these dragonflies nipping and taking all these black flies right off my head. And
Wow.
Yeah.
maybe like, whatever goddess was out there in the woods, and I'm being serious about it. Some goddess in the woods are like, hey, these guys aren't bad, so come on, we got to do something to protect these guys.
Yeah,
And
that's actually a sort of interesting thought because that actually goes into sort of stories of these mystic about these fairies and when you've done something good for them and helped them out or done haven't been mean to them where they sort of reciprocate and do something nice for you. But other stories there too is that some of them play tricks on you and they don't
right.
want to cause you harm and stuff like that. I know the
Hmm.
stories are all over the place with that. But I do remember hearing one story that I'd heard is that a person that was out in the bush, uh, I guess he wasn't sort of camping or hiking in that, and his grandfather told him his grandfather came from the old world for across from Europe, and that it says whenever you go out hiking by yourself or doing stuff like that, always carry a pouch of tobacco and a little bit of whiskey
Hmm.
because you never know. And this guy, I guess how the story goes is that this guy was out, he was hiking, gone through a meadow, through the bush and stuff like that. And he decided just to take a rest. And all of a sudden, another hiker came up, this female, really beautiful, attractive female. And it's not into a Pornhub thing here or nothing like that. But anyways, they sort of talked and that, and they started conversing and she goes, oh, whatever, how have you been out here? Like, what are you doing out here and stuff like that? I'm just hiking and stuff like that. And the guy had pulled out a smoke and then he offered a cigarette or tobacco to this female. And she's like, oh, thank you. And he says, oh, I got a little Mickey a rye here and stuff like that. You want to have a drink? And she said, oh, thank you, and blah, blah, blah. And then she went on his way and it was good fortune that followed him for a week. He
Well,
had, yeah,
let's see. Hi, Dwayne. How are you? Welcome to the show, bud. Um, and to me, I look at it like that would be an angel, and I'll tell you why. Because I was at a restaurant up where I live, and I saw this old man sitting in the booth, and all he had was a glass of water. And I was a frequent visitor at this restaurant, so I kind of knew everybody, the old timers that would come in, but I never met this guy before. So that's when cigarette smoking, where you had to go outside the restaurant to smoke cigarettes. So I went out and had a cigarette, and this guy followed me out. And he asked me, he said, can you spare, some money so I can go get something to eat? So I said, sure. I gave him a $5 bill and I gave him a cigarette. He lit it. We smoked. Didn't talk much, but he actually got a meal and a cup of coffee. And I had a lot of good fortune myself after I helped this guy out. You know what I mean? And I have no doubt in my mind that it was an angel. You know what I mean? To see how I was doing. So I'm really, really big on that. I know down in there's a place down in North Carolina, a mine, a gold mine place, and they have this like little covered bridge. Not a covered, but it's like a bridge that goes over like that.
yeah,
One night I was going down uh, to the bathroom, and honest to God, I passed this little bridge, and I'm thinking, I thought I saw a troll underneath that water. Honest to God, I swear to God, I saw these lights that weren't too friendly. You know what I mean? And I'll be honest with you. I live in Pittsburgh, and it is like the suburb of Pittsburgh, and it's called Dormont. And I'm not really used to going out in the woods. You know what I mean? So whenever I would go out, and I'm not afraid to say this, but I used to get scared because I didn't know if some bear's going to come up on me or a mountain lion or whatever. What do I do? And I can tell you one time I was up at Moraine State Park and I was back in the woods. Um, you call it the bush, I call it the woods.
mhm.
And all of a sudden I heard the sheep, this little baby goat just making noises. It sounded like a baby goat. And I'm thinking, where's this shit coming from? Because I could hear it. You know what I mean? It was like, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm getting chills right now about that situation. But yeah, when I would prospect out there, I really enjoyed it because I was in nature. But on the other hand, on the other side of that, I was awful, very, very leery on what was happening um, around me because, to be honest with you, I was scared a little bit. And that's okay. I'm all right with it. What other things have you experienced up in the bush that could be paranormal or something different?
Well, the biggest, like I've never seen a Bigfoot, never seen a little person. Uh,
Mm.
I've just seen some really weird phenomenon that have I never would have experienced unless I was out there. I, I can remember one time I was out in just even just being outdoors at 2 o'clock in the morning, and there's a full moon, and it's almost like it's daytime outside. Like
Hmm.
everything, like that's just something you wouldn't really figure, and you're away from all the traffic lights and everything like that, especially in the wintertime, then when the moon glows over off the snow and stuff like that, it's almost like it's like dusk or dawn at two
Hmm.
o'clock in the morning. We've had, like I said there before, like weird magnetics that have happened in the bush would have thrown off equipment, electrical equipment, and just even regular compasses.
Right.
Uh, we've had uh, weird things where we had like animals eating wires and stuff like that. But you can really dismiss a lot of stuff. Like never came across any Blair Witch stuff,
Right.
but I have met some crazy people that have been away from society too long that have been out in the bush and
That's
they've
my
been
next question to you. Go ahead, explain, please.
yeah, like they've sort of they don't they're not I don't want to say that they're not civilized. They become bush like,
Hmm.
and they're very weary of other people being around their area because they always figure you're going to be infringing or taking something from them. So they
Right.
want to want to move you away from their solitude and just really weird ideas. Like they're not focused in on current events anymore. They're more
Hmm.
focused in on what they're doing, right?
Right.
And they don't want anybody else to be around. It was like being like a hermit in a way. But then
Hmm.
there's even like families that are like that too, where they homeschool themselves and they just live off the land. And they even have shows about that stuff. They're now like not alone, but like Alaskan people or stuff like that, or
Right.
weird things like that. But I've heard lots of stories of from hunters and fishermen and of encountering something that they couldn't explain what it is, and whether it's been some sort of weird light in the sky that is sort of tracked around that doesn't fly like a regular plane or a helicopter,
Hmm.
and people that have said that they've seen small creatures that look like humanoid or big creatures like Bigfoot out there. And these are experienced hunters that know what a moose is, they know what a bear is, they know how
Hmm.
fast a bear can run on its hind legs through the bush and how big their gait is and stuff like that. And like they're not out to collect money and stuff like that and they're get a book
Right.
deal that they're going to be making stuff. They're just like, hey, we've seen something out there that is not something that would be an animal. And
Hmm.
that's sort of that's the interesting sort of question. That's what I'm sort of always trying to track down is these stories and stuff like that from people that are experienced woods people that know the difference between a dog and a wolf.
Right. You know about the one cryptid they have called the Dog Man. You heard of that one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And they have. There was a sighting here, I do believe, in Pennsylvania of the Dog Man. And I could possibility believe that because I know I read somewhere that Pennsylvania, where I live, is like in the top five for cryptids. You know, I had people come up and tell me that they've seen thunderbirds. Some people have come up and said to me, you know, not so much Bigfoot, but like you said, different creatures of some sort.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And just being on this radio show and just being on this channel and listening to all y'all, I'm like, maybe I want to start, doing a little bit of investigation on my own about the situation. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but I the woods, the woods scare me. Now, I will tell you this: I have no doubt portals. You know what portals are, right?
Yep.
I'm a dummy for saying that question, but but I'm sure there's a lot of them. Have you nor I ever experienced like portals up there in Canada where you live?
Not that I have myself. I'm not sure about what Laura. She'd have to answer that one herself. Uh, we had I think she had told you before about the experience we had at the house that we were in before, and we were on that Paranormal Survivor TV show where we sort of talked about that, about weird happenings that happen there with energy and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
portals, I haven't seen anything. I've read lots of stories about stuff like that, and this comes into this whole part of that David Paulides theory. He's the one who does that missing 411
Oh,
about
yeah.
all the people missing
Hmm.
around all the national parks in North America. I think he's also done in other countries too as well, but he mostly focused on North America through Canada and the U.S. And a lot of these areas, this is part of a theory. This is even actually part of my theory too, and this actually could come into the part of the cryptids as well. And experimented secret government experiments with merging human and animal forms, or animal and animal forms, or animal and bird forms, and stuff like that. Because I think that stuff is going on all the time. Once that idea comes out there, somebody's going to be experimenting with that. And a lot of the national parks, even throughout the states, are close to military bases.
Right.
And I'm totally into this whole thing. Well, you know about what DUMBs are, right? Deep
What?
underground military, deep underground military bases,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And with the way that these tunneling machines going, this has been going on for a long time. Where a lot of this stuff there could be all underground, and you figure like we as humans, we only dig down like in a house down about maybe 10 feet under the ground level, but there's like
Hmm.
200 kilometers or miles of earth that's underneath that, and it's easy enough to be 200 feet underneath the ground and build huge bases or connect things across country and stuff like that. Like even
Why
in
would you
Norway, there.
think? Why would you think anybody, the government, or any other company that? What would be the whole purpose of cloning an animal and human? That's kind of crazy.
The whole purpose, I think, about cloning stuff like that is to create a subservient workforce or a military capable, something that's better than a regular human being that can move faster, do whatever.
Hmm.
You got to think. You got to think throughout our history there. It's always riddled with war. Somebody wanting to control or take over something and take something that they don't have, right? This has gone on throughout history. One tribe fighting another tribe, one country another country, then one country trying to fight the world
Hmm.
twice in the past 100 years. Uh, you got somebody's always looking for an advantage where they have something better than someone else. Like
Right.
even think about this part there with Elon Musk with this Starlink. You got to figure about all this energy that's going to be flowing from the ground all the way up there and then shot back down again. How's
Hmm.
that going to affect everything else? Just even human beings, because we are electrical batteries in our way in
Right.
ourselves, right? We're water,
Hmm.
we're electricity. Our brain works through our own neural link and electric synapses and stuff like that. Now you're adding more uh, energy into the field what we walk around. Like even in today's day, there's the energy that comes off the TV, off the computer, the Wi-Fi that's going through here, going to send this signal. We've put a lot of energy into our, I guess, our bubble or whatever,
Hmm.
our daily lives.
I think we sometimes, sometimes I believe that we are living in a bubble. Like the Earth is covered with one big bubble around it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And the bubble expands like past Pluto. If even Pluto still exists, they quit that, didn't they? They
Well, they
eliminated
just
Pluto.
declassified it as a planet.
Yeah, yeah. Like, who gives them the right to declassify something? Somebody probably having coffee in the morning and saying, you know what? I don't like Pluto no more, so we got to get rid of it.
That was Neil deGrasse Tyson that pushed for that.
Really? How come? Can you explain that to my viewers, please?
Okay, the guess I watched a couple interviews where he sort of explained it was is that in the Kuiper Belt, there's other objects out there that do follow an orbit similar to what Pluto does, that is actually bigger than Pluto. And Pluto is the size of something that's not really planet size, and it
Mhm.
follows this weird sort of orbit. So the way out of it, that if there's other objects that do circle the sun and stuff like that that are bigger than Pluto, why would Pluto be given its own destination as a planet? So they reduced, uh, they got rid of Pluto as being a planet and called it, I guess, a celestial body,
Mhm.
or and because I don't think it even has its own atmosphere or something. There was something like that. There was a bunch of different criteria which sort of eliminated it as being a planet and just called it a celestial body.
Right. That's it's crazy when you look into space. I don't know. I'm wondering, not wondering, but I believe that there is other um, different civilizations out there on different planets. Not so much Mars, and Mars and the Moon, but Venus. You know what I mean? Now is that
Yeah.
a planet full of women? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But I believe it, and it. Here's the way I look at it. If they really, really wanted this stuff, they could zap us out in a minute. You know what I mean? Just like come down and just wipe us out, but they haven't. And it's just like it's sometimes I wonder, did they make a truce with China, Russia, United States? Did they make a truce with them? It's like, okay, you can come down as much as you want, but you cannot hurt any of us. Do you
Mhm.
see what I mean? How they make, where the UFOs and the aliens can come down but not harm us. That's the truth that they give it.
Right. It's almost like that the Star Trek Prime Directive, right? Where they get
I never followed Star Trek, dude.
oh well, they that was one of their the biggest uh, points that they had in the TV show Star Trek, the Prime Directive, that they weren't supposed to interfere with any sort of culture that they came across or give them advancement or anything like that, right? They could
Right.
observe but not help, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had to do it on their own. That was the thing. Do the no interference clause, and I think this is my theory on this is that where I find this so weird that the whole part is that well they don't want to interfere to help out society, we have to do it on our own. And why were they talking to governments, like you said? That makes no sense. Why would you just appear and just
Mm-hmm.
talk to anybody? Why do you need to do have alien abduction if they can just clone or create their own and then just experiment on the ones that they have up there, right? It makes no
Exactly.
sense, right?
Exactly.
That part out of it. But throughout, like when you're getting that part, I just want to go back to that part of the dogmen. I remember reading this part back about the history of Alexandria, and there's some old ancient texts about that, but that they'd had the vast before the library had burnt down, that they had had different types of creatures that learned and taught and worked at the school as well. And this is in some obscure texts and stuff like that. They had things like flying carpets. I think there's also talk about Genghis Khan uh, wanting to destroy horses because of flying carpets and stuff like that, an old story and stuff like that. But there was also dogmen that actually taught at the history of Alexandria and learned there too as well. And that was,
Hmm.
I guess, one of the first things that in my research about cryptids and stuff like that, of the earliest part that I'd seen of some sort of human and cryptid sort of interaction on a sort of a educational level of learning.
How long ago was that written?
Well, it's before the Alexandria burned down, but I'd have to go and look up. I have this written down. Like I got notes and notes and notes of stuff that I study in books all over the place, but I have to go and look it up. But
Mm-hmm.
someone could probably even look it up on the internet where they had a race of dogmen type cryptid that was uh, uh, working at or learning at and teaching at the Library of Alexandria. And I know I was talking with another person that was a native person that lived up in Alaska, and their tribe. They're also talked about in their past history about dogmen that lived up in the Northwest Territories and
Hmm.
went through that area towards Russia and also towards Europe, and they traveled across and stuff like that.
What would you do? What would you do if you went face to face with a dog man?
I don't know. I think I'd be pretty prepared before I went into the bush if I was encountering something like that. But
Yeah,
I don't
but
know. It's always the question about do you shoot first, ask questions later, or do you just let it go and have no one believe that you saw something? I
well,
don't know.
I
It,
would just like keep my mouth shut. You know, I mean, being in the paranormal field and seeing what I have seen in video and pictures that I've got. I mean, at the beginning when I started back in 2006, if I thought it was a pretty cool picture, people mocked me. You know what I mean? And showed a lot of disrespect, and I mean, it was brutal. I mean, totally brutal. And I quit doing that. You know what I mean?
I
I
guess the
quit.
whole thing is that people are looking for that final piece.
You there, bud?
Yeah, yeah, they were just seeing it clicked out there a bit for a second. Everybody's looking for that final piece of evidence that you can prove. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if you could catch a spirit or an entity in some sort of energy field that you could go, here it is, it's trapped in this chamber or this energy field. Look at ghosts are real, or this alien is real, or this Bigfoot is real. You've been lied to this whole entire time. You got it like this is another part. Like even with the military and civilian life are totally two different things, and neither really do converse with the other. They have their secrets from each other. But I've seen a lot of military interviews where people have talked about having uh, people on patrol or on their watch at nighttime or during the daytime. They've seen encounters with something that's flying through the sky or some type of Bigfoot type, Sasquatch type creature that tests the perimeter gates and will come in and they catch it on camera. They track it with infrared. They've seen things that it's not a human, it's something
Hmm.
bigger than something, and it's not a bear, it's not a dire wolf, it's not something like that, but or a regular wolf. I mean a timber wolf. Some weird things that they've noticed around uh, army installations that have been there, and people have talked about this. And I can't believe that all of them are lying just to become famous.
Right. Not, and I agree with that. Now, then it goes back to what you said before about how the military um, or the government is cloning animals. You know what I mean? Who's not to say that that big brown thing that they saw at the gate somehow was cloned there? You know what I mean?
Right?
And they're like trying to get back home, like, hey, listen, I'm hungry. Give me something to eat. You know,
Yeah,
it just amazes me, Dell, of all the crap that goes on out there in the world. And I was so blind to this, for the longest time. And
yeah,
it bothers me.
yeah. Well, that's the whole part about that. That's why I find this so interesting. That's even a lot of times why or a lot of part that why I do my show is that I want to ask questions all the time and I want to figure things out. I don't believe the narrative all the time, and I think that's very important. I think too many people today believe the narrative, what they're being told, and don't do the research. And
Right,
I tell people on my show all the time, it says, don't take my word for it. It says, I'm just giving you information out there. Take it for what it is. Do your own research and search other sites. Don't just search one site. I add this part. I tell this to Laura all the time. I said that as a kid, as you're born and you start growing up, you're a little kid is asking questions, everything, who, what, where, when, why. Then all of a sudden they go to school and they're told the question and the answer, and they have to study it. So they start being programmed. And this is
hmm,
they stop asking questions. By the time they get out of school, they have been told the narrative, what they have. Here's the question, here's the answer, the proper
right,
answer. You're tested on this all through your 12 years of grade school, high school, and that. And then if you go into secondary school, whatever, afterwards. So then after you're out of school, you stop asking questions. You just
right,
believe what you're told. You're told the government is your friend. They're always there to help you. the news that comes there, the mainstream media never lies to you. They're telling you the truth,
Mhm.
and you can see where we've come to problems now in society there today.
Um, yeah. I lost train of thought there. Um, but I guess I'm human. I'm allowed to do that. Now back to the missing 411. Like I said,
Yep.
we're going all over the place here. I saw that thing on YouTube about it. Um, and it was really, really intriguing because, I remember you saying that to me when I was on your show. Don't, do your own research. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And I did. And with like the two hunters, that the first one and the second one, especially that old man, the CIA came in, or the FBI, one of them, I don't know who it would be, but they completely like kind of shut it down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you're not supposed to like do this. You know what I mean? You ain't supposed to, it's over, it's done with. And but as I was researching, I really did. I mean, I was impressed on the research that I did. I was patting myself on the back. But at the time that these people were missing, there was again a lot of UFO, stuff going on at the
Mhm.
time that it was happening. Do I believe that they were abducted? Yes, I do believe they were. But what bothers me is why didn't they just bring him back? You know what I mean? I mean, the dude was only what, not even 100 yards from the road, sitting on
Yep.
a rock, and just disappears. It's just like ridiculous. And if he was an old man, why would they want to take him? I would think that if the aliens did come down to snatch him up, they would go for somebody younger. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But check this
That,
out.
that that's only the part though. If it was an alien that's snatching them up, because there's also things of talk that there could be fairies or little people when people have gone off and disappeared like that too as well. And they always and some parts have been is that I guess in the theory it is that when you go away, you go to this other realm that time is different, and that maybe they do come back. Maybe they're asked the question if they want to come back,
Right.
right?
Hey, you know what? That's a good thought because think about it, right? Now, I think it was the movie Brigadoon, um, where a guy fell in love with somebody from a guy, and he chose to go back with her. You know what I mean? So maybe you're right. Maybe the theory is, hey, if I go into this other dimension, and they love me, they respect me, look how young and buff I am. Do you think I'm going to go back to my old life? You know what I mean?
All right.
Or
Yep.
who's not to say that if you do go into that outer realm, that they just brainwash you and you no longer
serve
think
you
of,
up, serve you up on a plate with some spuds.
yeah, no lie. I mean, it's cool. But I was watching. We got a couple more minutes here, but I want to thank you very much for coming on tonight, buddy. Thank you
Oh,
for
no
your
problem.
input, and you really saved my life tonight, which is good. And I do enjoy talking to you, and I do enjoy listening to your shows. And I will be honest, sometimes when I listen to your shows, I get
Yep.
confused because I really don't understand what you're talking about sometimes because
I go
you come up
I
with
go
big
all over the
words.
place there sometimes.
Yeah, you do. And I'm thinking, wow, just to have your brain for a couple minutes, just to see what you see. Can you tell our viewers what you got coming up Thursday?
Thursday, well, I'm still waiting to hear back from this person there to see if she'll be on. But looking into this whole things with what's it called? MLM. There's mass. What is it? Major? No, mass label marketing. Anyways, it's almost like it's the cult of selling things, and
Okay.
how you get in like stuff like Amway selling vacuum cleaners, these perfumes
Okay.
and stuff, where they get all these people into selling diet products, where they get these teams, and it's almost like a pure pyramid Ponzi scam, right?
Hmm.
Where you have and how the brainwashing works and with that, and that's also connected closely to how cults work and religions too as well.
Right. Right.
And that's sort of going that sort of topic, but also still trying to figure out what's going on in the world as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, you have an awesome show. You have a good show, and
Well, thank you very much.
I just hope one day that I can understand what you're saying. Real quick before we go, my son, he got his PhD in microbiology, and whenever he talked to me about schoolwork or whatever he was doing at Ohio State, um, I couldn't understand him. You know what I mean? He just tried to explain it in my terms, but it just didn't happen. So what I would do was the only thing I could think of to ask him was, "Is it growing in the petri dish?"
Right.
Whatever experiment he was running. I said, "Is it growing?" And he'll say, "No, it's not growing," or "It died," But he has it. It just this world is just crazy and insane. You know what I mean? And I want to thank
Mhm.
you for being on the show tonight. Um,
Well, thanks for having me. Like I said, I appreciate it there anytime there, Shawn.
I appreciate it, and to all my viewers out there, I want to thank you for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself. You can catch me on Facebook, Shawn Kelly. My picture is the logo, and once you come over to the Pittsburgh Paranormal Society Facebook page and like it, and you'll be able to see our shows on there. So for that, I will see y'all next week, and happy hunting. Thank you.